Resident Evil 9 just revealed some big news, and I couldn't be any more excited. We just got some new info on the game, including a highly likely release date, character details, and so much more. And shockingly, these actually come from a really reliable source. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys are having an amazing day. Sit back, relax. Reminder to drink some water today, in case you haven't already. Drop a like if you are excited for Resident Evil 9, and let's dive straight into this. Now, the difference with today's video compared to most of my leak videos is I think there's a lot more credibility behind these leaks. We have evidence to back it up, so let's get into it. So these leaks come from a Reddit thread, but this guy was nice enough to tweet it out for us in a tweet form, or I should say X form. You get the point. So Rhino the Bouncer says rumors/leaks Resident Evil 9. The first thing on this list says that Resident Evil 9 will be a closing chapter for a few things. And then immediately after, it says that RE9 will be both a closing and a beginning for the series. So before we move on to the more crazy leaks, I want to give some predictions. So at the end of the main story of Resident Evil 8, we can see that the BSAA were sending bioweapons into this village. The BSAA has always been against bioweapons, so why are they sending bioweapons to this village? Seems like a great setup for Resident Evil 9. Well, according to these leaks, that is exactly what RE9 is going to be about. But more on that in a little bit. It says new story arcs are to come after Resident Evil 9. So that very obviously sounds like, you know, we're gonna get some new characters in the series. Maybe Resident Evil 9 will be the game that closes Chris's chapter and we never get to see Chris again. Maybe RE9 will be his final game and that's his send-off. Maybe Chris and Jill finally get together and they have a kid. I mean, there's endless possibilities, okay? I think there is so much potential for the series to have different story arcs going forward. Characters could die, characters could retire, characters could get married. I mean, we don't know. And that leads into the next bullet point, which is RE9 will take this series to new directions. And I feel like RE9 is going to be the start of a new, I guess, era. We're going to start seeing some new characters. We're going to start seeing our favorite characters be either killed off or retired, or something's going to happen to them where we essentially never see them again. And I know a lot of hardcore RE fans, which I would assume is all of us, aren't really going to be happy with that. But guys, we really got to remember these characters are getting old, man. I mean, these characters are pushing their 50s. I mean, these guys are getting old. Would it be cool to see an 80-year-old Leon doing roundhouse kicks? Yeah, that would be awesome. But these characters deserve a break, and I truly think it is time to move on. And that goes back to what I wanted to talk about earlier on how apparently RE9 will be a closing and a beginning for the series. I'm thinking that in RE9, this is just a prediction, I think it'll be Chris's last game, or at least his last, you know, mainline game. Either he's going to be killed off or he's going to be retired. Look, don't get me wrong, I love RE Village. RE Village is one of my favorite RE games, but let's be real, did RE Village really take the series in new directions? Not really. Village was basically a first-person Resident Evil 4. Again, I love Village, but it didn't really do anything new for the series, I feel like. I mean, the only thing that it really set up story-wise was, of course, the ending with the BSAA sending bioweapons to the village, and it also set up Rose's story, which was concluded in DLC, so her story is pretty much done. And one of the most exciting things about this list of leaks is the next bullet point says this will be the highest budget in Resident Evil history. And I think Resident Evil 9 having a bigger budget actually means a lot more than we think, because reminder that RE9 has supposedly been in development since like 2018. There's this tweet right here from Resident Evil Central, and he says Resident Evil 9 will have the biggest development budget out of any other games in the franchise. It will also have the longest development time in the series, having started in 2018. And as I covered in my last RE9 leak video, the game is supposedly releasing in 2025. So if you do the math, that means the game has been in development for 7 years. Guys, that is just as long as some of the biggest RPG games made out there that take years to make. This is a Resident Evil game, a single player survival horror game. 7 years in development. Might I add that the tweet also says RE9 will also close some of the series threads while also opening new storylines that will take the series in new directions. And this makes me wonder if those leaks that came up before were actually true or if they're just like rumors or theories. This guy right here, PL Evil, basically says, what about those leaks with the Moon Cult and the Forest and Chris being the lead role and Jill returning? If you haven't heard those leaks yet, you can check out my other RE9 leak video here. Again, might I quote, RE9 will be the biggest game in the series. RE Village came out in 2021, the DLC came out a year later, and then the RE4 Remake came out this year in 2023, and then the Separate Ways DLC came out not too long ago. And then we got official news, it's not a leak, it's official, it's confirmed, that Capcom has a major unannounced game that they plan to release in Q1 of 2024. Now, it could be a Resident Evil game, but I really don't think it is, because Capcom expects that new unannounced game to sell millions of copies, and sure, it could be a Resident Evil game, maybe a new remake, but I doubt it. So with that being said, let's just assume that we're not getting a new RE game next year. 2025 just makes the most sense. I highly doubt Capcom would go 2 years without a Resident Evil game, considering the streak that they've been on since 2017. And a couple of these RE9 leaks we have actually heard like a year ago, so there is some consistency with these leaks. But that's everything that we know about Resident Evil 9 so far. Be sure to comment your thoughts down below. Drop a like on this video if you found this information useful, and I will catch you all in the next one.